I woke up married to my biggest rival. No, it wasn't planned. We just woke up that morning, and there it was, the ring on my finger. I wasn't sure how it got there, but I thought maybe it was a prank. Then again, this was Vegas, where strange things happen daily. How did I end up in this mess? Let me explain. BSXZ News was the top network in the city, mostly because of me. Okay, technically I co-hosted with Charles Baldwin, but let's be honest, I was the real reason people tuned in. On camera, we had undeniable chemistry. Off camera, pure animosity. The job was perfect, except for him. Charles strutted around like he owned the place, all because he had 6 months of seniority over me. I couldn't stand him, and somehow, he seemed to hate me even more. That morning, I sat in the makeup chair while Charles scrolled through his phone, ignoring everyone. I turned to Isabella, my assistant. The Grinch didn't try to poison me today, right? Isabella barely looked up. No, but I checked just in case. Yikes. She sounded so done with me. Charles smirked. See, Dennis, even your assistant's sick of you. I scoffed. Bold talk for someone whose own mother probably prefers me. He finally looked up, eyes glinting. Still mad about Sao Paulo. My jaw clenched. The Sao Paulo incident. It was the second assignment we were paired on, when Charles went rogue and blindsided me. That's when our rivalry truly began. Hair and makeup cleared us, and we moved to the anchor desk. Charles leaned in, voice low. No hard feelings, he murmured. I'm just kind of better than you. The producer counted us in, and I smiled for the camera like I wasn't already plotting his downfall. 2 days ago. Lately, the animosity between us had reached new heights. Beth, our boss, called us into her office one day and broke the bad news. Our ratings have been through the roof, and soon enough, one of you will get your own segment, free of the other person, depending on who drums up the most viewers and engagement. So, sabotage levels hit an all-time high. This promotion would be huge for whoever got it. Not only would they escape doing segments together, but they'd also get a significant raise and a chance to cement their career status. Any journalist would tell you how great this opportunity was. Meanwhile, the loser would be stuck introducing the winner's segment. Talk about rubbing salt in the wound. Within weeks of Beth announcing the new job, we'd both been reprimanded multiple times for our conduct. You could blame us, we were fighters, and it showed. Every time Charles sneered at me during prep or taunted me before going live, I made it my mission to retaliate. Like I said, I was better. One morning, I walked into the conference room to find just Beth and Charles seated, and I immediately assumed the worst. Beth motioned to me. Great, Dennis, you're here. Please close the door behind you. I obliged, and Charles seemed to read my mind. All right, Beth, you're starting to worry me. I don't remember putting lard in Monroe's face cream, so what's going on? I rolled my eyes at him. Yeah, Beth, something wrong. She stood up. I have an assignment for you too. Maybe it'll stop you from burning down the station. But I need you to work on this together. No sabotage. I'm giving this source to both of you, and I need you to meet and get answers good enough for a story. Can you do that? Beth looked between us, and Charles and I glanced at each other. Then we nodded. Beth smiled. Great. On to the briefing. This assignment relates to the last 2 stories you brought me. Since you never share intel, I looked into them myself. There's a major scoop here, and it's bound to break the ratings ceiling if you deliver. It's the Carmen and Adonis court case story. I have a source who'll reveal what their feud is about. I want us to be the first to break it. So, I'm sending you to Vegas. Get everything you need and be back Monday morning to deliver a record-breaking headline. Okay. I'll email you the packet, and I need you at the source's address tomorrow evening. Remember, work together. Charles and I nodded, and I added, thanks for trusting us with this, Beth. We won't let you down. The next night, Charles and I arrived at the Paris-Las Vegas hotel, taking the last flight out. Knowing us, Beth made sure we weren't seated together, so we only interacted before and after the flight. The car waiting for us took us straight to the hotel, which also happened to be where the source was staying. The ride was silent, excruciatingly so, as Las Vegas traffic rivaled New York during rush hour. I scrolled through my tablet, reviewing story files and prepping questions for the source. When Charles leaned over my tablet, I snatched it away and caught a faint whiff of Versace Aerosport cologne. As a cologne enthusiast, I recognized it immediately. It was impressive. Out loud, however, I narrowed my eyes at him. What are you looking for? He rolled his eyes. You need to lighten up, Monroe. I knew you'd be working, so I wanted to see your plan for the source. Remember, Beth wants us to work together. I hesitated but eventually handed him the tablet. We reviewed the questions together. He didn't object much, only making suggestions, which slightly annoyed me. I expected him to critique my journalism techniques, but he surprised me with his level-headedness. At the hotel, we were directed to a card table where we met Gano, the source. He worked for Adonis and was the only staff member not forced to sign an NDA. He spilled details about the feud with Carmen. An hour and a half later, Gano had talked enough for 2 rundowns of the story. All we had to do was condense it into one segment for Monday. Charles emailed everything to Beth to get the team started, while I worked on our dialogue. It was smooth sailing, shocking me yet again with how well Charles and I worked together. When we finished, we returned to the reception desk to check into our rooms, only to be handed one key. Both of us were surprised, but I beat Charles to calling Beth. She picked up on the 3rd ring, and I put her on speaker. Why, Dennis? It's 9 p.m. on a Friday night. I already got your email. Were you aware we're in a single room? I asked. She sighed. Company budget, Dennis. And it has 2 beds, so who cares? Charles chimed in. No, Elizabeth. It's just 1 room with 1 bed. That's not happening. Look, I'm sorry, but you're there for 1 night. Make it work or pay for another room yourselves. There's nothing I can do right now. She hung up. The receptionist spoke. I'm sorry, sir. Is there a problem? Charles sighed. No. Can I get another single room? She checked her computer and winced. I'm so sorry, sir, but we're fully booked for the night. Are you kidding me? Fine, we'll take the room. It's too late to find another hotel. Can we get someone to take the bags up? The receptionist motioned to a nearby bellboy, who took our suitcases. Charles said he was going to get a drink, so I followed the bellboy to the room. After settling in, I decided to head back down to the bar, maybe to check on Charles since he seemed upset. I searched for a while before finding him nursing a scotch. I sat next to him and ordered the same. I know I'm not supposed to care, but are you okay? He looked at me. Is something different about me? I tilted my head and studied him. Other than his usual rugged handsomeness, his tie was loosened, his stubble faint, and his eyes bloodshot. There was definitely something off. You've been nice too. Me all day. You even gave up the room for me. It's unusual. I'm worried. He chuckled lightly. I got dumped this morning. Right before I got to the airport, my boyfriend sent me a text, and that was it. He blocked me afterward. I sighed and turned to my drink. Damn. I'm sorry about that, Charles. How do you feel? How do you think I feel? He retorted. Like a scotch isn't enough. It's on the company dime. Charles, I'll join you, and we'll have a few drinks, and then some more. The mini bar in our room is exceptional, actually. He laughed, a genuine one, the first he'd ever directed at me, and it made me feel tingly in a way I enjoyed. Thanks, Dennis. We ordered more drinks, stronger ones, because let's face it, we both needed it. We rarely took vacations in our line of work. And when it came to us, we were married to the job, so this was long overdue. 5 drinks turned to 10, which turned to shots, and then I lost count. I hadn't been drunk in years, and I hadn't felt the tension in my shoulders loosen in a long while. Even Charles had softened his expression, letting loose for the first time in ages. He turned to me and said, I may act like I don't like you, but I actually do. We work really well together. Other teams wish they could power couple the way we do. I laughed it off, thinking it was the alcohol talking. But deep down, I'd thought the same thing. I always believed Charles and I would make great friends if this rivalry didn't exist. Realistically, though, things didn't work that way. Maybe I was crazy, or maybe the alcohol was getting to me, but I started feeling butterflies whenever Charles smiled at me or held my hand to steady himself. Hooking up was one thing, we'd done that once or twice, but having these kinds of feelings felt weird and vulnerable. So I brushed it off, convincing myself that for one night, we were calling a truce. I was helping my friend through a breakup. It was fun and exciting until I kissed him. Then I blacked out. The next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache. Reason number 1 for not getting drunk at bars. I sat up, trying to piece together the night before. Then I opened my eyes and realized my shirt wasn't on. First sign of trouble, I never slept without pajamas. I turned around to jog my memory and saw Charles next to me, shirtless as well. We had slept together. I groaned, not expecting this to happen again, but here we were. I nudged him until he woke up. What is it? This sneering bastard had returned. I'm glad to see you had a nice night, Charles, but we had sex last night, and I'm not thrilled about it. But I'm willing to write it off as me helping you get over your dumb ex-boyfriend. Okay. Charles rubbed his eyes. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it either. I'm going to the bathroom. He got off the bed and disappeared into the bathroom, only to reappear seconds later, looking scared. Dennis, can I see your left hand? Confused, I pulled it out to see the ring on my ring finger. Within seconds, confusion turned to shock. Please tell me that's a toy or a prop. It's Vegas, Monroe. It's not a toy. So what? We just became Rachel and Ross from Friends all of a sudden. What in the hell? He scoffed. Well, if we were, I'd definitely be Rachel. I glared at him. That's what you're thinking about right now. He dismissed my statement. We need to find the chapel and figure this out. See if we can get an annulment or a divorce before this gets out of hand. I grabbed my phone to check my last known location, but no sooner had I picked it up than I was greeted with a local blog post and a picture of us at our wedding. That's going to be a problem, Charles. We're trending. And I give it 10 minutes before Beth calls to scream in our ears. That annulment or divorce is going to have to wait. We just have to work on Monday and make it through the weekend married. Hubby. I gave him a tight smile. 2 days later, Charles and I were seated in Beth's office for the millionth time. Instead of lashing out at our inability to work cohesively, she paced silently, trying to figure out how to handle our little mistake. We had trended all weekend. The picture of us leaving the hotel that morning had fueled the internet for 2 days, and it didn't seem like it would stop anytime soon, not with a joint segment due in 30 minutes. Poor Beth had been on the phone with the legal and publicity teams, trying to undo and capitalize on the situation. After all, a news station that can't capitalize on news isn't living up to its name. The legal team suggested divorce, but the publicity team argued that if we claimed we were always together and our wedding just leaked, we could use our followings to boost viewership. However, we'd need to stay married for a while until the press stopped caring, then quietly file for divorce. Charles and I weren't thrilled about staying married and pitched the idea of getting divorced anyway but keeping it secret. Then Beth reminded us that we'd have to live together because the internet could be relentless, and we'd never hear the end of it if they found out we didn't live together. Their reasoning was sound, but we still didn't want to do it. So Beth added that whoever was the best team player would get the job, but we had to pull it off for a year. That sealed the deal. Within minutes, we were in makeup and then on TV, breaking one of the biggest stories of our careers with a massive audience watching. Ratings soared, and social media engagement exploded, especially with the little Easter eggs Charles dropped, like going off script and talking directly to me with eyes full of love. The audience loved it. The studio loved it. Beth loved it. And somehow, I found myself liking it too. But I had to keep my head straight. He was doing this for the job I wanted as well. So, I buckled up and prepared to power through the year. We decided to move into my apartment because it had more space and a guest room. Moving was a nightmare, especially with the mountain of Charles's stuff. I immediately set ground rules to ensure we didn't kill each other. Aside from a few unavoidable clashes, Charles proved to be a suitable roommate. I learned more about him through his habits. He was a neat freak and loved cooking. Since we worked together, we alternated driving to work, and before then, he'd cook breakfast. Not that I asked him to, he just took on the responsibility. At first, the house was silent, like two zombies coexisting. But one night, he came home with a box of pizza. I was sitting in the living room working when he plunked the box next to me. Without looking up, I asked, "What's this for?" "It's for us. I can't dismiss you from the living room. It's common ground, and neither can you. So, I was thinking we'd watch a movie tonight." I looked up and saw him holding out 4 rented movies. "You're kidding yourself if you think I'm watching that." I nodded to the Saving Private Ryan DVD he held. He gasped. "I didn't think you had such imbecilic taste in film." I'm sorry, but war movies are boring to me. I shrugged, my attention completely detached from my work. First of all, it's a historical drama. And second, if you don't like good movies, what do you like? I rolled my eyes. I consider my movie taste good, but action and romance are my favorite genres. Have you seen The Notebook? It's a perfect movie. He sat on the couch next to me, the pizza box now separating us. So, you'd watch a movie about a dementia patient's diary but not American Psycho. Why would anyone watch that? I'll raise you the Fast and Furious saga. Those movies are so overdone and unending. But it's about family. I beamed. He dramatically held his hand to his chest. Okay, it's time for a moviecation. I'll watch any of your favorite movies if you give peak cinema a chance. Starting with Saving Private Ryan. Deal. 8 months later, as time went on, Charles and I embraced the married life aspect of our situation. We went from rivals to actual friends to occasionally sleeping together and kissing each other good morning. We went on dates and vacations together, admitting that real feelings had developed in our relationship. I could even say I loved him, but I was too scared to admit it. Quick reminder, we were still in this marriage because of a job. I felt that if I caved, I'd compromise my career. So, we kept doing what we did, being the world's best roommates and maintaining a semi-relationship. Still, I was happier than I'd been in a long time, and I was scared of letting it go, especially as our 1-year marker approached. Speaking of careers, our show was the highest rated thing that wasn't the NFL or NBA on any channel. Ratings were through the roof, and Beth and the executives showed their happiness by increasing our airtime and giving us frequent overruns. Social media engagement was also through the roof. Publicity had us doing appearances on late-night shows, guest starring gigs, and more, an exhausting task, but opportunities like this rarely came up in our line of work, so we'd be crazy to refuse or complain. Plus, we had each other, and I genuinely grew to love working with him. Our on-screen chemistry wasn't fake anymore, there was real love flowing between us. We were just too chicken to admit it. Regardless, everything was blossoming, and we were in a good place. Or so I thought. Charles had gone out for drinks with a friend and was supposed to bring dinner back soon. So, I went through the mail, expecting only bills and minor notices. But then I saw a letter from Solar News Station addressed to Charles Baldwin. Dear Mr. Baldwin, we sent this letter in addition to the email. We are sorry to learn that you turned down the offer to join Solar News. Thank you for meeting with us, and we hope you reconsider. We are still open for negotiations. My heart sank, and I collapsed on the couch. As if on cue, I heard Charles's keys jingle before the door opened, revealing him. He held a bag of takeout and had a smile on his face until his eyes met mine, then trailed down to the letter in my hand. Where'd you get that? He asked guardedly. Do you have another P.O. box I don't know about, Charles? I scoffed. He charged toward me and snatched the letter away. You went through my mail. It's my P.O. box, I can do so if I choose. What the hell is that letter? You turned down another job. We're still fighting for this segment after everything. This is what you do to me now. How could you? I need you to calm down and let me explain. I scoffed, taking a step back. No, what I want you to do is get away from me, Charles. Thanks for reminding me. We are rivals anyway. I disappeared into my room to grab my jacket and put on shoes. I came back out with my keys. I'm going out. I don't know how long, but I want you gone when I come back. Also, I want a divorce. He reached out to stop me. Please, Dennis, I'm begging you. It's not what it looks like. Okay, if you could just not overreact and let me speak, you'll understand what's going on. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't. So, this isn't you trying to eat your cake and have it. Really? Did you leverage that employment letter for a better spot, Charles? You really think you're better than me, don't you? A look of plea spread across his face. Well, Charles. This was a fun experiment. It worked for the station. It worked for you, but that's it. I'm not waiting 3 more months. I'm done. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. I slammed the door behind me, got in my car, and drove away. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't bother checking it. I was sure it was him calling to plead, but I wasn't going to let him convince me he wasn't a snake or that I wasn't being delusional, that I could fall in love and give up the job of a lifetime for him. I wasn't going to let that happen. So, I kept driving. New York City at night was a spectacle, so I kept on driving. I contemplated going to a bar for a drink but remembered what happened the last time I got drunk. So, I thought against it and drove for a while longer until I found myself at the beach. I took a walk, trying to process what had transpired that night, and then my conscience kicked in. I hadn't let Charles get a word in, and I was being silly. After weighing the consequences of my actions, I drove back home. I fiddled with the keys, dreading the emptiness I was about to face. Then I opened the door and found Charles sitting in the same spot I had when I lashed out at him. "I thought you'd have left by now," I said in a low voice, fiddling with my keys. "I was about to, but I felt bad keeping this from you. Then I decided to say something to you, and you weren't answering my calls, so I thought I'd wait for you." I sighed. "Well, I'm glad you're here. I'll be level-headed and listen to you." Charles scoffed. "You're unbelievable. You act like you're above making mistakes and don't deserve anything bad that happens to you." "Fine. Well, I turned down the job because I wanted to keep working with you. I let myself believe we'd gotten to a point where sharing the screen wasn't so bad and that you felt the same way. So, I had an idea to keep the promotion for both of us. We're the station's best asset, so we had bargaining power, creative control over the show, a raise, the works. I didn't think twice about turning down the offer. But you made me regret that because you don't trust me, and you never wanted to trust me." I stood there dumbfounded. I had ruined everything. Charles, I promise I didn't mean to. I just overreacted. "No, you thought about yourself immediately. Thanks for the reminder, though. We're getting divorced anyway, so all bets are off. We're rivals, Monroe. You of all people should know that." Then he walked past me and out the door. 2 weeks later, the atmosphere at work was tense. Charles wasn't talking to me. The house felt empty, haunted by ghosts of our past. It was a daunting time to be alone or at work, but I had no choice. He wasn't answering my calls or speaking to me. The only contact we had was when the cameras were rolling. Every time I tried to talk to him, he'd turn to look at me and say nothing, then walk away. It was torture, especially when he slid the signed divorce papers over to me before we went on air, saying nothing. Then Beth called me into her office and broke some news. Apparently, Charles had tendered his resignation and was taking the job at Solar News. It had been a decision he'd made long ago and informed Beth about so I could get the new show. A win-win. When she asked him why, he said it was because he knew I deserved it, that no one else he knew had the passion and love for the career that I had. So he felt there was no reason to fight someone he loved for something they deserved more. I walked out of her office shaken. I had really screwed up this time. I moped in my office, staring at the divorce papers on my desk. I decided I was done trying to avoid talking to Charles and would confront him. Later that night, I knocked on his door twice. It took a lot of begging to get his new address from his assistant, but I finally succeeded. The door opened, and he stood there dressed in gray sweats. He stared at me. "What do you want, Dennis? Don't leave. Please, I don't want you to leave." He opened the door wider to let me in. "I can't do this job without you. I'm so sorry. I've been selfish this entire time, having my foot out the door when I was as much a part of this mess as anyone. But please, Charles, you're my partner. And I can't let you just leave. Screw Solar. Why should I trust you, Dennis? You never did. Because I love you, Charles. You're my partner, my co-anchor, and my life partner. Since I met you, I've been the most alive version of myself. You drive me in so many ways, and this job just won't be the same without you." I took the divorce papers from my pocket and tore them in half. "I'm not signing those, and I hope you don't want me to." Then I took the box from my other pocket and knelt down. "Marry me, Charles Baldwin, for real this time. Please." Charles let out a breath, then a tear escaped his eye, and he cursed. "Dennis, why do you always have to be so irresistible to me? Is that a yes?" I asked. "Yes, that's a yes. I'll marry you for real. And I love you too, Monroe." He smiled, pulled me up from my knees, and kissed me. We kissed with a depth of love and longing, like two people who were genuine and true to each other. He pulled back and asked, "Where'd you get that ring, anyway?" I grinned. "Why do you think I came in so late? I went ring shopping, obviously." He laughed and kissed me again, and I knew from that moment we'd be alright. Conclusion. It's been a year, and I still feel butterflies every day with Charles. He's been a dream. We had a real wedding and everything. Work has also been ultra smooth. The show is going well, and our ratings are solid and climbing weekly. We're getting higher level stories, and as we ace them, Beth trusts us more and more with even better ones. A year ago, I never could have imagined this, standing at the top of my game, hand in hand with the man who still makes me blush like it's the first day. The show, our careers, the life we've built together, it's more than I ever dared to hope for. And yet somehow it all feels effortless. As Charles leads me out of the studio, his fingers still laced with mine, I realize something. Success, love, happiness, it's not about chasing the next big thing. It's about the moments, the little choices that led us here. And right here with him is exactly where I'm meant to be. The end. Have you ever had a drunken experience with another person? What did it lead to? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.